Welcome to my channel. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Today I have another list video and the year is 1980. So I wanted to do a list of rock albums, and I was originally going to do a top 10, and there were like so many albums I couldn't like whittle it down to 10. So you know what, let me just go ahead. I'll do a top 20. I'll just move a little quicker in this album. I'll just run through the albums really quickly. So these are basically going to be 20 rock albums, which will be different genres. Could be punk rock, new wave, just straightforward rock, or anything that's not like the hard rock or heavy metal. And I compiled this list of 20 albums from 1980. So let me just jump right into it. So at number 20, I have David Bowie, Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. This is kind of like David Bowie going into kind of like that new wave style. The big songs in here are like Fashion and Ashes to Ashes. And this was a really good album. I know David Bowie has some more popular albums, but this is a decent one. At number 19, REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity. Now, I know this was a really popular album. I think it sold very well, but there were only like 2 songs I really recognized. So we have Keep on Loving You, 'Cause I'm gonna keep on loving you. And the other one, Take It on the Run. Heard it from a friend who, heard it from a friend who. You know that song. So anyway, this was a decent album, but again, it only had like those 2 recognizable songs. At number 18, Pete Townsend with Empty Glass. So Pete Townsend did a solo album, and he was still in the band The Who. They released Face Dances, I think, the year later. But Pete Townsend's solo album, Empty Glass, has some pretty cool songs. Rough Boys, Let My Love Open the Door. Let my love open the door. Ooh, that one. And pretty decent album. At number 17, Journey with Departure. This is a pretty cool rock album. The one song that was a hit from this was Any Way You Want It. If you watch the movie Caddyshack, they had that song in that movie. It was when they were on the golf course, and Rodney Dangerfield has the radio in his golf bag. So, awesome scene and awesome song. So this is a decent album, so that's why I have it at number 17. At number 16, Joan Jett with Bad Reputation. So Joan Jett, this was kind of more of a punk rock album mixed with some like classic, like rock and roll covers. So we have the popular songs, Bad Reputation. You probably remember that from the Shrek movie. Do You Want to Touch? That was another popular song. But she also did some, rock and roll covers like Woolly Bully. At number 15, I have Steely Dan with Gaucho. Now, Steely Dan is pretty cool, like jazzy rock band, and this album has really good production value. I know they spent like 2 years in the studio doing this album. They wanted to get everything perfect. Really good song, Hey 19. That's probably the big song from this album, and I like this one a lot. At number 14, Alice Cooper with Flush the Fashion. Now, normally Alice Cooper, I would be putting him on either the heavy metal or hard rock list. But for this album, I think it's just more of a rock album. Alice Cooper kind of adapted his style to the times. And this album was more like a new wave. So some cool stuff, Clones, We're All Clones, Talk Talk. So again, a decent album. It's kind of different for Alice, but I have it at number 14. At number 13 is Jethro Tull with A. So Jethro Tull kind of went into more of like an electronic music style, but they still retained their, signature style with that classic prog rock, folk rock with the flute and all that. And I think they did it very well on this album. A couple good songs, Crossfire and Batteries Not Included. At number 12, I have U2 with Boy. Now U2 is a band that I used to listen to. I kind of stopped listening to them in the 90s, but their early 80s albums are really good. So this one has I Will Follow, and this is a really a solid album. Lots of other great songs, and again, U2 is a band. If you don't know them, check out their early albums. At number 11 is The Cure with 17 Seconds. Now The Cure is one of those bands. They're not a metal band, but I think they appeal to a lot of metal fans because their songs have like this really like dark like tone and atmosphere, and I think that's what I like about it. You know, they have, you know, pretty cool like bass riffs and lots of guitar riffs. It's just very mellow. It's modern rock, but I really like it. The standout song on this is A Forest, but this is just a cool album to listen front to back. It's just mellow, very like moody, atmospheric type of music. At number 10, I have Alan Parsons' Project with Turn of a Friendly Card. So this is another band I like a lot. This one has some a couple of popular songs, Games People Play and Time. And definitely a great album. This one also has the title track, which is 16 minutes long. And definitely another great album. At number 9, I have Ramones with End of the Century. This is just a classic punk rock album. Has some of their popular songs, you know, Do You Remember Rock and Roll Radio? Like, pretty cool song. Rock and Roll High School. That was another one. I think they made a movie of that. I guess it came out later. But just classic, straightforward punk rock. It's just lots of short songs. It's only like a 35-minute album, and I like this one. At number 8, Police with Zenyatta Mondatta. The Police are a pretty cool band. It's kind of like a mixture of like rock, modern rock, and like reggae. They have a really unique sound. This one has a couple hits on it. Don't Stand So Close to Me, Driven to Tears, and whatever that song. They da. Another really good album. So I have that one. At number 7, I have Genesis with Duke. So this was an album that, you know, is going into that like Phil Collins era where they're still doing prog rock, but they're kind of moving into that like 80s, you know, more of that like electronic, you know, pop rock sound. And this is kind of like a transitional album. So they had the big hit, Misunderstanding. And they also have Turn It On Again. Lots of great like, you know, keyboards, and kind of moving into more of like an 80s sound. And this is kind of like a transitional album for them, but it is a really solid one. At number 6, I have Queen with The Game. So this one has a couple great songs. I had this record when I was younger, so this one brings back lots of memories for me. Actually, I think all of the albums I have from here until number 1 are albums that I did grow up with. So Another One Bites the Dust, really great bass line in that one. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, that's a pretty cool, like a rockabilly, you know, like rock and roll type of song. So that's an awesome album. At number 5, Rolling Stones' Emotional Rescue. So really good album. This is another one I grew up with. Emotional Rescue, pretty cool song. It has Mick Jagger singing in that like falsetto style. And another one I like, She's So Cold, just straightforward like a rock and roll song with a, you know, really nice guitar sound in that one. So this is another album by the Rolling Stones. Definitely check it out. At number 4, Pat Benatar, Crimes of Passion. This one could have been on the hard rock or possibly even metal, because it is, you know, it's kind of like a harder type of rock music, but I kept it on rock. Hell Is for Children, really great song about child abuse. It's kind of like a power ballad, I guess you call it. Hit Me With Your Best Shot, that was the popular song on this album. And another great album track is called Treat Me Right. At number 3, Devo with Freedom of Choice. So Devo is a band, they play like electronic music, and you know, this album, it sounds like dated because, you know, in 1980 they didn't have the technology that they have today, but it's kind of like, you know, playing video games. Sometimes you want something simple, you know, instead of playing a PlayStation 4 or a 5 game with these great graphics, sometimes you just want Pac-Man or Donkey Kong. And that's kind of what like Devo is. So it had the big hit Whip It, and it has all the great songs, Freedom of Choice, Girl You Want, but just these songs are like really good, they're really catchy, just really great pop songs with like this like electronic sound. So that's my number 3. Number 2, Billy Joel, Glass Houses. You know, I grew up in Long Island, so, you know, Billy Joel was kind of like a big part of growing up. This one is a really solid album. You know, You May Be Right. It's still rock and roll to me. That's a really great song. Don't Ask Me Why. It's just a solid album, just this great, like, rock and roll songs. And just Billy Joel does what he does, and he does it very well. My number one is probably going to be kind of like a shocking pick, but it was the album that I grew up with, and one of my favorite albums is when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and it's John Lennon's Double Fantasy. Now, I do understand that there is filler on this album, and you're probably wondering why I have it at number one, those Yoko Ono tracks, but the other songs are just like so great, just like Starting Over, I'm Losing You, Woman, Beautiful Boy, and Watching the Wheels. I think I used to like put this record on the turntable and just like flip through those songs, and this is just one of the albums that got me into music, and that's why I have it at number one. It's just like the first album that I just remember like really liking a lot, so that's why I have it at my number one. So anyway, in the comments, put some more albums. You can put your list. You can make a top 20, make a top 10, whatever you like. Or are there any rock albums that I missed? I'm sure there are a lot of them. I know I didn't really get a chance to listen to everything. So, some albums like Paul McCartney or McCartney 2, I didn't really get a chance to listen to that. That's why it's not on here. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will be back with some more single album reviews, as the weekend is coming up. So that's it. See you in the next one.